Hello, everybody. Welcome. So good to be joining you here. So my name is Damien Brady. I am a manager of cloud advocacy, developer advocacy. Somebody's knocking on the thing next to me to give me coffee, which is very required. Thank you very much. I am joining you here from the GitHub office in San Francisco. And I'm joined as well by one of my co-hosts for GitHub Universe, Christina Warren. Christina, hi.
Hey, Damo. I'm a developer advocate at GitHub, along with Damien. I'm also in the GitHub office in San Francisco. However, Damien and I do not know where the other person is. So we
Yeah.
think we're on the same floor. We know we're in the same building, but we do not know where the other one is. So we'll have to figure that out after the stream. But both going to be two of your co-hosts for GitHub Universe, which, can you believe it, Damien? It is like 6 days away.
Yeah, I know. It's not very long at all. So, I mean, we're here right now. Keynote rehearsals and prep and all that kind of stuff are in full swing. We did a solid day yesterday of rehearsing and all that kind of stuff. And today there's a stage downstairs at the GitHub HQ where we're running through rehearsals all day long. And so, yeah, that's happening right now. There's rehearsals for all the sessions and so on. Yeah, it's kicking off. It's in full swing. Well, you only
Yeah.
got here last night, though, didn't you?
Yes. So I was supposed to arrive yesterday afternoon, but poor planning on my part. I know the audience cares so much about this, but poor planning on my part. And I had other meetings throughout the day. But also I wasn't completely packed. It meant that I did not get in until midnight. So a little jet lagged. I could have done with some of the coffee like you got, but I'm honestly really excited about GitHub Universe. This is our first hybrid event, and first kind of in-person big event that we've had since 2019. So the last few years, with everything, it's all been virtual. So this is the first time that we're going to have a bunch of people back together again. I'm really excited.
It is very exciting, yeah. So we're here today to talk about GitHub Universe and mainly answer a bunch of questions as well. And we've got a few questions that have kind of already been asked, already come up. So we should probably just kick into these questions, right?
Yeah, that sounds good. So it looks like one of the first questions is around the various content tracks. So what are the different content tracks? And I think this is a great question. Damo, do you want to take it from here and we can kind of riff on this a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 4 main content streams for GitHub Universe this year. There's cloud, security, AI, and community. So these are kind of 4 areas that are super important at the moment. And what we're doing is we're doing live streams across those 4 tracks, as well as kind of a main stage stream. So that means that at any point there could be 4 different sessions on. The main stream will broadcast kind of one of those sessions. So you could just sit on that main stream all day if you're watching remotely.
Yep.
And see like a variation, see some of the different tracks. Or you could just, if you're only interested in the AI stuff, you can just switch to the AI track and watch those sessions. So that's kind of the virtual experience. If you're doing that, you've got a lot to choose from the whole way through.
Yeah, and just a reminder for people, if you go to githubuniverse.com, I would recommend that you go ahead and go there now. You can register, it's free, and when you sign up, you can start to build your schedule. And as Damo said, you can look and see what sessions are happening at various times, what things are going to be broadcast live, and you can build your schedule out across the various streams. Or if you just want to stick, on either the main stream where you get like a little bit of a buffet, a little bit of everything, or if you're really just into the cloud or AI or security or community, you can watch those individual tracks too.
Yeah, definitely. So the other thing that's worth noting as well is if you have 2 clashes, like 2 things you want to watch at the same time, all of that content will be available after the event for, I think according to the FAQ, it says all that'll be available for 30 days after the event. I think there's quite a bit of content though that'll continue to be available long term. So but those sessions, yeah, definitely over the next month, try to watch the stuff that clashed that you couldn't see.
Definitely, and I think the way, from what I understand, if you've heard anything different, let me know, Damo. But from what I understand, if you've registered, sessions will be available within an hour of when they first were broadcast. So if you, depending on what time zone you're in, or if you've got other things going on, don't fret. You can. It's not like you're going to have to wait, a week or two to see what happens. A lot of those sessions are going to be up really, really quickly. And there are also a couple of times, if you look at the schedule, in addition to that main track where sometimes we re-syndicate things, there are some topics where you might see the same session happening on multiple tracks, which just means you can choose whatever stream you want to get the most. Like if you're wanting to watch the state of the Octoverse, or learning how GitHub builds GitHub, things like that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. We could probably jump to through a couple of the other questions, because there was a question about registration and cost and things like that. So the virtual one is free, so you can just register and watch everything. That's free. There is an in-person component as well, though. So free registration for the virtual stuff. There is an in-person component, which we might talk about a little bit later, but I think one of the important things to remember as well is that because it's a hybrid event, it's very deliberately hybrid. We're not just kind of broadcasting stuff that is being shown at the same time. You're not just going to see people standing on stage talking. There's a lot of kind of specifically remote virtual content, including the hosting stuff. So yeah,
honestly, that's the best part. I was gonna say, look, we need to go ahead and promote ourselves, Damien. Like, honestly,
sure.
So Damien and I, as well as Anwan Simmons, our great colleague, we're gonna be kind of the MCs, kind of carrying you through both days, both the 9th and the 10th, everything that's happening. So you'll see us. We'll also have some interviews on stage. I think there's gonna be, because even though this is a completely hybrid event, there are some things that we're going to be doing with the space where we will be in San Francisco, but don't worry, you'll be able to catch all of that from home. But we'll if you want really bad jokes, probably fairly decent jokes, and if you want to see Damien, potentially Damien might be juggling. That's going to be my little bit of a teaser if you tune in.
I really need to practice.
I was gonna say, I put this out there now, so you are definitely somebody who should, tune in if you want to see Damo juggle. Look, you can juggle better than me, so you can do it a little bit. So be sure to tune in for that, because that'll happen on the host stream.
Yeah, the other thing that we're going to be doing as well, because we realized that it'd be great to be there in person, but not everybody is able to do that. And we want to kind of bring a bit of that in-person experience as well. So we're not just going to be sitting at a desk, talking about the sessions and things like that. We're going to be showing you like the whole area, and even I think we're going to be doing a little bit of backstage stuff as well. So giving you a view of things that the people on premises are not seeing on premises. There's such a DevOps.
Yeah. Anyway. No, but you're right though, because this is the cool thing about, we've been really intentional about how we're doing this hybrid. In the past, like in before times, a lot of times, and Damo knows this because he and I used to work at Microsoft together, and we've done a ton of events together. We've been all over the world together. In the past, the way that it seemed to work at a lot of places was that the live stream was kind of an afterthought. And so you didn't necessarily get to really feel like you were there. And we're trying to kind of flip that on its head, where all the sessions are going to be recorded. So you're going to get all the content. But in addition to that, like Damien was saying, we will be showing some behind the scenes stuff. So you can see some backstage things. You are going to get a view of areas that even if you're there in person, you might not know about. So we really we're trying to do what we can to bring everybody into the experience, which I think is going to be really fun.
Yeah, exactly. So we had one of the other questions actually about the in-person event. And I think there are still tickets that you can get. Like if you are in San Francisco or can get here, there are a few things about the in-person event. So there's a couple of things happening in person. There are workshops that are running, I think, at the same time as GitHub Universe. So if you are here in person, you can attend those workshops and get hands-on experience with some of the stuff that is being released and has already been released, some of those features. There's also some content from a couple of other stages. So there's a garden stage, like an outdoor stage, where some content will be just for the people on site. We're not streaming those things live. And there's also a demo stage, which is kind of short sessions about, okay, here's we're doing this with this feature. Here's how you can learn how to use it, kind of thing. And those things are just for in-person events, so we're not streaming all of those ones. And obviously workshops are in person as well. So there are things for the in-person audience, and there are things for the hybrid audience for the virtual audience as well. That, you know, it's almost
Yeah.
like two events that are running together, I guess.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, exactly. We're figuring out this hybrid world. I'll also say if you want to be on site, and also if you do show up in person, you see Damo or I, be sure to say hello. We love to meet people. There are going to be a couple of experiential things that I don't think we're allowed to spoil, I guess I should say, but they're going to be really cool. So there are going to be some very cool things that are happening on site with the way they've got things laid out. There's some cool AI stuff. If you're into that, you don't want to miss. There's going to be like an on-site swag store. Swag for the event will also be available online, but there's going to be an on-site store, and I love my merch, so I'm really excited about that. Speaking of things that we're excited about, there are over 100 sessions, over 120 speakers. What sessions are you really excited about, Damien?
Yeah, I've been going through that agenda, and I've also kind of been involved in the planning for some of these as well. So I've seen some of this content already, and there's a lot that I'm excited about. I picked out a few, like 3 different ones that I really am interested in. There is a session with one of our colleagues in dev advocacy, Roselle Scarlett, who's also in the keynote. She is doing a session on leveling up with Copilot. So a lot of Copilot talks are about, hey, look how cool it is, but her focus is on here's how you can become a better engineer, I guess, by using Copilot, which is a really interesting take. And I've seen some of this before, and like heaps of super valuable tips if you are using Copilot about how to get the most out of it. So that's one.
Yeah.
There's a session with Dr. Sarah Kaiser about quantum computing with code spaces. I love Sarah. So I actually came across
she's one of my favorite people.
her name. Oh, I came across her name in a kid's book. So she co-authored a kid's book. Yeah, Quantum Computing for Babies, I think it was called.
Yeah. She's actually the co-author of a bunch of different kids' books for, on quantum computing and on physics and on other areas for babies. But there's actually an episode, I think that it's on the learn Microsoft.com/shows site. We actually did an episode a couple of years ago where I interviewed her. It was a 2-parter. Sarah and I met playing Animal Crossing during the pandemic.
That's amazing.
And she is an amazing person. She is now she's been a member of the Python and the quantum communities for a long time. She now works at Microsoft, and she's going to be showing off Code Spaces. And if you're not familiar, Code Spaces is basically like a great place to have your dev box anywhere, either in your browser or have it like in your local VS Code instance. And I can't wait to see showing off quantum in Code Spaces, because I think that's probably a really good use case when you're talking about something that could historically require a lot of not only very specific tooling that could require a lot of setup, but also in some cases a lot of very high powered computing aspects if you're wanting to do some of this quantum stuff that your laptop might not necessarily be able to do, or depending on what your own specs are.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Christina? Are there specific ones you want to see?
Yeah, so there are a couple of sessions about security. There's one like how GitHub secures GitHub. I love any of the kind of inception talks where we talk about like how GitHub, because this is one of the best parts about working here that I found. Like I've been a fan of GitHub stuff for basically as long as it's been around, but one of the best things about working here is that we use our own tools to do our jobs. And I think that it's really it's dog fooding all the way up. And so I think like hearing about how we use GitHub to secure GitHub with features like code scanning and GitHub Advanced Security is really cool. I'm really looking forward to that. There's also some community is one of the tracks too. As you mentioned, there's security, there's AI, there's cloud, and there's community. And community is a huge part of what both you and I do. And there are some, there are going to be some interesting talks about open source maintainers. And also, I think Ashley Wolf is doing like an interview with someone from Meta about how Meta approaches open source. And I'm really excited about that because I love hearing about how other companies and other large companies, especially, how they approach these things, because I think that ends up saying a lot about what we can all learn. But also sometimes what you'll find out is that big companies, I know this is certainly true for GitHub and for Microsoft, take a lot of their cues from the community too. So those are a couple of the things I'm excited about.
Yeah, definitely. On the community track as well, the day 2 keynote is all about community from our from our head of the community org, Stormy Peters is going to be doing like that day 2 keynote. And I've seen some of this content and it's beautiful. Like there's some amazing stuff that people are doing, like incredible stuff that people are doing. So definitely don't miss that. Day 1 keynote, everyone's like, oh, this is all the announcements and things like that. Day 2 keynote is going to be incredible. So make sure you're there for both days. There's content like across both days. It's going to be amazing.
I think, as I said before, it's over 100 sessions, over 120 speakers. Damo's seen a lot of the content. I've seen some of the stuff too. I've been helping people with things. It's going to be a really, really good time. This is kind of our big event of the year, and it's happening right before my birthday. My birthday is on Saturday, so I feel like this is an early birthday present. It is, yeah. It will next week anyway. So I feel like this is like an early birthday present to me. But also, it's just going to be a big celebration of open source and of tooling and building things. So I'm super, super excited. Here's a question that's coming in, which is like where can people follow along on social? So if you're joining us for GitHub Universe remotely or from the hybrid event, where can people join us?
Kind of everywhere is the answer, right? So I mean, GitHubUniverse.com is obviously where to register and where you'll see the live streams and things like that. But all of the social accounts as well will be kind of echoing GitHub Universe content. So Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn to some extent will be sharing things as well. There's 2 Twitter accounts. There's the GitHub account. So that's kind of focused on online viewers. So if you're watching the live stream, the virtual stuff, that GitHub account is focused on that. There's also a GitHub Universe account. So if you're on site, have a look at the GitHub Universe Twitter account. And that'll be focused a bit more on like the in-person experience. So kind of everywhere.
And sorry, go on.
I was going to say, and you, of course, on Twitter, I'm sure you'll find a few moments to tweet furiously about stuff that's going on.
Well, I'm going to try. It's going to be hard because Anwar and I are going to be, the way that this is going to work, like we've got this outdoor stage and we're going to be on this desk and Damo's going to be up there with us sometimes, but he's also going to be roaming around and interacting with people. So I will most certainly be tweeting, but it's going to be less than usual. I tend to tweet a lot, but it's going to be less than usual because I'm going to be on camera. I'm going to be live. So it's going to be, I don't know if like voice tweeting is a thing yet. Maybe that would be like an interesting use of Copilot. This is what we should do. We connect Copilot to a GitHub action, and I will send tweets that way. That sounds good.
Don't nerd snipe yourself at this point, Christina.
Okay, fair enough.
Writing a bunch of code.
I don't know. We'll make it a stretch goal. We'll see. But in addition to the stuff that's going to be happening, obviously, like during the event, after the event, checking out our TikTok, our YouTube, our Twitter, we will continue LinkedIn. We will continue to have content and recaps and things like that. So there's going to be lots of stuff that's happening. Basically both before and after the events.
Yeah, absolutely. There was another question that came in, and we'll see how much we can answer here. But the question was, what's going to be announced? So what are the big announcements for GitHub Universe this year? And what's your answer to that one, Christine?
Well, if we told you, I would get in trouble, and I don't want to get in trouble. But I will say, think about the themes, think about the tracks. There might be some things that are happening around some of our big announcements that we've made. AI has obviously been a really big topic of conversation, and we with things with Copilot. I think that there might be some Copilot stuff. I think it's fair for me to say that. You definitely want to tune into code spaces as well. We mentioned that has been a really big area for us, and it's changed my productivity and the way that I develop completely. There's going to be some stuff around that. What else? I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm gonna pass this to you now. What can you share?
I was going to also kind of dodge the question as well. So I've seen some of them. I think the overwhelming feeling I get about the announcements that we're going to make is that um, they're things that will genuinely change the way that you work. So we because we're in GitHub, what we tend to do, you talked about dog fooding, we staff ship stuff early. So all
Hmm.
of these new features and new capabilities and things, we kind of see them much earlier than the public does because we use them. So
Hmm.
um, we've seen a lot of this stuff. Like it's actually been things that the GitHub engineers have been working with as well as working on. And I can genuinely say that some of this stuff has absolutely changed the way I work day to day. Um, so those things are starting. Some of those things are starting to be rolled out. Um, yeah, there's a lot there that I can't I can't tell you, but definitely tune in. There's some things that are pretty impressive, and that yeah, will be some big changes to the way that people work day to day. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's all
I
you're
think
gonna
that,
say
yeah,
to tune in. Yeah.
I think we
Uh,
still have jobs. That's great.
yeah, no, I think we're still employed. Good job, us.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, all right. So we had another question that came in about the workshops. Can we talk a little bit more about those? Do you have to register in advance? Yes, you do need to
Yes.
register in advance. GitHubUniverse.com has the details. Do you know anything? Can you say anything more about that demo? I think they're 90 minutes is how they work, but they're going to be hands-on. You're going to be able to, I know, be able to actually work, side by side with people, which will be really great. What more can you say about that?
Yeah, so if you go to githubuniverse.com, in fact, you could go to githubuniverse.com/workshops if you want, but if you go to the info page on githubuniverse.com, scroll down a bit, there's a whole section on the workshops. So um, they're on Wednesday and Thursday, so the same days as GitHub Universe. Um, and I think they're just a repeat, so day one and day two are the same. Um, I'm just having a look through them. So there's stuff about Azure Developer CLI, um,
Yep.
security. Security without compromising on velocity with advanced security.
Hmm.
Code spaces.
This one's
Code
cool.
QA. Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, the code spaces one. Yeah, again, if you go to getupuniverse.com/workshops, more details. But the code spaces one is a little more advanced. It's so you can level up your code spaces. So if you're already using them, but you want to get the most out of it, like that's what that's going to be about. I
Yeah.
think there are a couple of them. If there's also some that are lower level for code spaces too.
Yeah,
Sorry,
definitely.
what other stuff is there, Damo?
There's quite a bit on code spaces, it looks like, as well. So a few different levels of code spaces. What they are and how they work. But this is one of the things, I guess, with code spaces. You always see the demos, and I'm guilty of this. You always see these demos of like, oh, here's a basic Node app with no data behind it, right? Um, you can do like a lot more complex stuff. So GitHub.com, for example, like the GitHub website
Yep,
we use code spaces
we do.
to do that. So GitHub, which is what we call it, is entirely done with code spaces, and it's obviously not like a single web app. There's databases, there's services, there's all sorts of stuff, and code spaces can absolutely support that. So that workshop in particular, like if you're thinking, oh well, we're not writing like little dinky websites, we can't use code spaces. Yeah, you absolutely
Yep,
can. The capabilities are there. So if that's something you're looking at, yeah, definitely, I would highly recommend registering for that one. Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot there. You do have to register for those. I don't know what the capacity is at the moment. I haven't heard. I don't know how much room there is in these. So you'd have to register and have a look, I think.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, they do repeat. So if you cannot make one on day one, or if you've got if there are a couple that you want to attend, for instance, some of them take place at the same time, you can go the second day if that works for you. But yeah, you do need to register. I don't know if there is any limit, but I would go ahead and register now. And then they're 90 minutes. And I like this. I like that we're doing workshops because I think that a lot of people get a lot out of this part of it. I mean, part of going to a conference is obviously learning and is sessions, but I think one of the big reasons people go to is for kind of hands-on development training. It's great to see a presentation, but being able to actually walk through with someone how they've achieved something and how you can do something from like beginning to end is really great.
Yeah, and actually being there on site and being able to ask the questions from people in the product team and experts in the field and so on. So yeah, watching somebody on a screen is one thing, but getting hands-on and being able to ask the questions is yeah, super useful, I think. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. So I think we're running low on time. We could probably pick up one more question, which is how do we access the content after the event? So once the event's finished, like where do you go to get this content?
Yeah. So GitHubUniverse.com, you will hear that said a lot, especially if you tune in, because that's going to be, I want to do a drinking game for this, frankly. It doesn't have to be alcoholic. It can be, kombucha, or it can be juice or water or whatever. But I want to do a drinking game where I want somebody to come up with a list every time we say that. The GitHubUniverse.com is going to have all the content available. As I said, some of it will be up as soon as an hour after. And then it will be available, I think we've guaranteed for at least 30 days after, but a lot of that content will continue to be available. Like in the past, like we've put a lot of that content on our YouTube channels. So if you don't have the opportunity to, watch as things are happening live, you can catch things after the fact. Also, I know that there are a couple of watch parties that are happening in some other regions. If you wanted to get that with other people.
Yes. I was trying to find a canonical list of them, but I think they're very much community organized. So I think if you did a search for a GitHub Universe watch party, there are some small community ones where people are just jumping online and watching it together and having a chat. There are some larger organized ones. So I know that there is a watch party in Singapore. The community track, I think, is being managed by one of our colleagues, Mish Manners, as well, Michelle Mannering.
Yay,
so
Mish.
that one in Singapore is a bigger deal. Like that's an actual kind of hosted event. There'll be like in-person content as well as like streaming stuff. There's one, it looks like there's one on Meetup in Tel Aviv, which is quite cool. I've seen that's the keynote watch party, I think. I saw one as well, like US based for a watch party as well, because we realize as well that the content is kind of based around Pacific time, right? So because it's a hybrid event, we've got stuff in person and we've got stuff online. So having that content available straight afterwards is super useful, and having these local watch parties where people can watch that content together and discuss together in a time zone that makes sense is super important too.
Yeah, and one thing I also want to mention is that we are going to be localizing the content, at least with subtitles, in a number of different languages. And then after the content goes up, thanks to the magic of machine learning, it will be available in even more languages. But we're trying to get that localized for as many people as possible, so that if you are not an English speaker, you can still appreciate all the great content and the great stuff that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm pretty excited about this. There's like keynote rehearsals going on right now downstairs from where we are. I've got to jump down there and do some stuff as well. So I've got to run through mine. But any last thoughts? Like any last messages for people? Things that you want to do? What you think people should do before coming on? Is there a website they should go to, Christina?
Okay, again, we're going to start the countdown now. This is where I need my coffee to take a sip. GitHubUniverse.com. November 9th and 10th, we are kicking off, I think at what, like 8:30 a.m. Pacific time? I don't even know. It's on the website, but you'd want to join us, and 9 o'clock a.m. I think is when we're kicking things off. So you want to join us next week, next Wednesday to kick things off. Damo and I will be there. Come to watch Damien juggle. Come to check out whatever outfit I'm wearing. I'm still deciding what it's going to be, but it is going to be awesome. And and we're so excited to see you. And as Adam, our events guy would say, let's build from here, right? Like that's our new branding, that's our new slogan. So let's build from here, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next week or online. Cheers.